So first of all, good evening to everyone present here. And I take a great opportunity to welcome all the panelists and thank you so much for joining us on this forum. So first of all, with us we have Dr. C.B. Mishra. Dr. C.B. Mishra is a director principal of Prudence Group of Schools. He holds a rich experience of 25 years in education sector, right from being a principal to being a consultant to startup companies to being to running his own school. We welcome you, Dr. C.B. Mishra. Next with us we have Dr. Nicholas Correa. He is a principal of New Horizon School, the New Horizon Public School, Airoli. Mr. Nicholas Correa holds more than 27 years of experience in educational sector, and Mr. Nicholas Correa also is experienced in curriculum development and in administration. We welcome you, Mr. Nicholas Correa. And next with us, we have Ms. Nikita Kotari. Ms. Nikita Kotari is a principal of Arunodaya Public School, and she also holds experience of more than 20 years in education sector, right from being a teacher to being a principal. Miss Nikita Kotari has definitely came a long way in her career. We also welcome our moderator, Sudhir Kukreja. Mr. Sudhir Kukreja is a CEO and co-founder of Credence International School. I also take a great pleasure to welcome Mr. Rajiv Kothari, the co-founder of Scuzo Educommerce. Mr. Kothari, you to begin the session.
Thank you so much, Anushka. That's been really kind of you. Uh, so, to start with the session, I would just want to, you know, continue where I was talking to one of my colleague or my, friend in the education fraternity. She's, I would say, director of a group school. And just to highlight those points here, because which is directly connected to school, so is where, you talk about the education space changing dramatically. Like I was just talking to Sudhir sir, where a lot of people had resistance in regards to using mobile. A lot of schools had that, so that has changed dramatically. A lot of things will change now. Sometimes the changes are proactive and sometimes they are reactive. Like this time, it was a very reactive change which has happened in the education space dramatically. The same thing has happened on the services front also, right? So when you talk about, like, a lot of parents, they have to purchase books, they have to purchase uniform, they have to purchase shoes, a lot of stationery stuff, and for that they had to physically move to a particular vendor or a school or something, removing time or taking an off from the office, spending almost an hour or two minimum, that is to purchase the books, and travel time I'm adding to it. Okay, so Scuso, what has done is has changed this entire working process. Okay, whereby what we do is we tie up with the vendors as well as the schools, and what we do is we deliver books at the doorstep. Now, of course, as in the education space, the changes happen over a period of time. So this year we had 125 schools who were on board on this platform. But as I was talking about the director who was there, they also tried a lot of in-house jugaad system. Okay, and when I kind of probe further, and when I got to know the costing, when I got to know the platform, when I got to know the services part, as in the offerings and everything, what I realized is that as an individual school or a group school, we talk about some 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 numbers, right? Which will put the cost on a way higher side for a school, because when we talk as a school show, we talk in lakhs, we talk possibly in millions, because this is all about a volume game where the cost reduces dramatically. So, and also the biggest benefit or the incentive for the parent is where we practically give them whatever they purchase. So say for example, a parent purchases books worth 3,000, we give them 3,000 worth of Scuso points. And we've tied up with companies like Oyo, Make My Trip, 1MG. So you talk about all the possible big corporate houses. We've tied up with them and they can redeem those 3,000 points against all the coupons which they get, which is an equivalent amount of saving which they get. Yeah. So practically the books are free, right? So that is not something which anyone has offered till date, and that is the USP of our platform. I was just talking to Nicholas sir, and their school is online. Okay, and just to give you an idea, there is some good number of parents which have purchased books. It is more than 50-70% of the parents who have bought it online. And fortunately, yesterday I was in a meeting just before the pre-meet which was happened. So a school has tied up for 3 years with us, where it is going to be completely online, 100%. So there is no, they don't have to go to the vendor, they don't have to come to the school. It's just that they take the admission, they go there, they purchase the books, and the books get delivered in 2 days to their doorstep. So parents were like so happy with the entire service because they don't get charged anything. So that's schools of all of y'all. If anyone has any questions, more than happy to take that.
Okay, so
To you,
great.
Sudhir sir.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Sudhir Kukreja, I would request you to again begin the session. And also, I would like to inform, unfortunately, Dr. Kavita Jain will not be able to join us today as her flight is delayed. So, Mr. Sudhir Kukreja, you may continue, please.
Thank you so much, Anushka, and thanks, Mr. Rajiv, for a quick brief on what Scuzo is offering to all the clients. Hope we get some association and benefits to our parents. Uh, Welcoming all the panelists once again. Good evening to all the attendees. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. This is our second session in our series of NEPs and a fourth session, I think, done by the Scuzo Education Conclave this year. Uh, in our last session, we had a quick discussion about what NEP is bringing about in terms of the change in the education space, how it's likely to impact the pre-primary segment, which is being introduced and inducted within the system for the first time. And now it's going to become a part of the formal education system. And our today's session is a continuation of the series that we started last week. And this particular session, we are going to focus on what is going to be the impact of the changes that are proposed in the NEP, specifically on the primary education space, which I believe is now poised for a dramatic change, especially given the fact that we've now introduced a fundamental foundation program and then an elementary level, which is converted into, from a 10+2 model to a 5+3+3+4 kind of a stuff. I have a group of eminent panelists who are expert in their own domain. Uh, I think between the three of them, they bring about almost half a century or more than that of an experience of being associated with the top education institutions across the country. Dr. C.B. Mishra and Mr. Nicholas, between the two of them, are experts on the CBSE and the board guidelines, curriculum structuring, framework, etc. I'm sure we'll be able to gain a lot from their experiences. With this, I think I'll open the floor to the panelists and invite Dr. Mishra for his initial comments. Sir, what would be your perspective on how do you see the new proposed policy changing the landscape in terms of education? What are the changes proposed? How do they impact the primary education? And specifically, I think I'm going to go to each one of you one by one and going to the impact of NEP on primary education, specifically from the stakeholders' perspective, right from schools to teachers to parents. So, Mr. Mishra, maybe your first comments. How do you see this entire thing changing and the impact on the schools once this policy is coming into action and the near the implementation?
Thank you, Sudhirji. And first of all, thank you for inviting me as a panelist here. First of all, in the new education policy, it was the first time where we are focusing on the early childhood care education. Basically, the objective is that every child in the age, you can say, range between 3 to 6 years has the quality to assess to free and safe development, appropriate care and healthy education system, healthy and holistic education system. So I'm saying again, healthy and holistic, it means ki 360-degree angle we are supposed to take care of that thing. And over 85% of the children, you can say cumulative brain development occur prior to the age of 6, basically, as per the, you can say, medical science says. So a study conducted by the NCRT and you can say title the impact of preschool education on retention in the primary grades in 1992 and on 30,000 children illustrated strong and directed correlation between the exposure of preschool education and retention rates, attendance rate, and the most significantly learning outcomes in primary schools and beyond it. On that basis, basically this 90 to 92 report, again the 2004, again there was some report by the NCERT that early childhood care education is not implemented in that way where we are supposed to do. So study basically tracking the students learning outcomes clearly demonstrate that children who start out behind tend to stay behind throughout the school years. So they are facing some problems also, and they got some stuck off in one way or another way. So investment in ECC has the potential to give all young children such access in an engaging his holistic way, thereby allowing all children to participating and flourishing in the education system throughout their lives. And ECC is perhaps the greatest and most powerful equalizer also. So here basically that 5 years, 3 plus 2, that is a primary stage, and this 1 and 2 grade basically up to this thing. That is one of the important parts. So assessment appropriate in the ACCE first stage can suppose the parents in their responsibility to raise their children and to promote children's personally and balanced development with their parents also. So here the parenting part is also one of the important part. They are unable to understand what type of school and what type of thoughts they are. There is a gap also that should be also fulfilled in this ECCE. So basically what will the quality of ECC required in NCF, basically you can say, or the new education policy, that framework will be created. In my opinion, the healthy and the nutrition for both the mother and the child, it is required, number one. Number two, cognitive and the emotional, you can say, stimulation of the infant throughout the talking, playing, moving, listening to music, sound, or you can say some activity, fun play method. This type of things should be involved in that way. And the more and more important part, learning about alphabets, language, numbers, counting, colors, shapes, drawing, painting, indoor, outdoor games, puzzles, coding even. Coding in not in the sense of computer, basically. Coding means how the child is using that, you can say, instrument of thought. For logical thinking, you can say. In the other terms, you can say puzzle and logical thinking. Visual arts is also another thing. Craft, drama, puppet, music, movements. These all things you can find out. You can find out so many of the students are coming on the stage with good music, you can say good drama and good acting and all these things. So this is the time where we are supposed to do some, you can say, holistic development of the child at the 360-degree of the age. So here basically I can say at the time when we are showing the new education policy, the thought process of this thing is to create the equity and the inclusion of basically, and use of the technology is one of the important part. Critical thinking and creativity is on the important part also, where we are taught in the new education policy. Under this ECCE, basically the foundation learning curriculum is to be created on that basis of universal access to early childhood care education. This you can say foundation age between 3 to 8. It is divided between the from age to 3 to 6. You can say ECC, and age 6 to 8 for 1 and 2 in the primary classes. When we say universal assessments for children 3 to 6, assess the free, safe, high quality of ECC at Anganwadi and preschool Bal Vatika like this. Bal Vatika is the new terms basically we are using here. Anganwadi is already running. So multi-phase, flexible, multi-level, play-based, activity-based, inquiry-based, research-based learning process will be there. Our implementation can be jointly carried out by not only by the Ministry of Education, which is early known as Ministry of Human Resource. It should be also taken care by the Women and Child Development and Health and Family Welfare, and the Tribals Affairs also. So these all will participate in some one way or another way. Sorry, preparatory classes for the prior to the age 5. Every child will move to the preparatory class or Bal Vatika, and there will be a class 1 basically, you can say. So there they will try to learn multiple pathway, build schools, learning outcomes, peer tutoring and alternate centers, bring back dropouts and all these things. So expected basically, you can say, in the 21st century skills, the teaching learning assessments is to be taken care. Now, how the child will learn at the foundation stage, you can say multiple level play activity based learning will be running. And the preparatory stage, you can say the play, discovery and activity based and interactive classroom learning should be there. So in the first stage, there this 5 years, 3 years for the foundational stage, and the 2 years for the preparatory stage, that will make the ECC. So that 5 plus 3, 3 is for the age group of, you can say 3 to 5 and age 8 to 11 basically, and after that 11 to 14, you can say 14 to 18 for the free. So 5 plus 3 plus 3 4, that is a new program basically. One new part is the coming in this, you can say EC framework, is that the National Curriculum Pedagogical Framework for Early Childhood Care Education is drafted by NCERT. That was not earlier. That is a you can say major change here. So this National Curriculum Pedagogical Framework for Early Childhood Care Education will create a new curriculum for this small kids, you can say. And research and best practices is to be, you can say, at the national and international best practices can be taken up. Multi-phased frameworks, you can say, I already discussed that thing, for the number, color, counting, shape, indoors, all these things. And school preparatory modules should be prepared. I think I've taken, and if there is any query for the later on, and definitely I will take the questions. Over to Sudhir ji.
Thank you so much for a very comprehensive elaboration on what the changes are bringing in, sir. I will definitely want to come back to you with a lot of queries and questions which have already started pouring in from the audiences that I have. But before that, I think I'd like to invite Mr. Nicholas Correa for his initial comments. And specifically, sir, now that Mr. Mishra has already laid down the foundation on what are the changes that NEP is bringing onto the table for us, I think I'd like you to throw some light on how do you see these changes impacting the teachers who are practically, the foundation of the education system, and who are, laying down the entire, owning up this entire process of implementing the policy going forward.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. C.V. Mishra has thrown a broad light on all the areas. Let me, as you said, let me focus on about teachers' education in primary. Let me go back, history of education. Let's go back to 1968, when the first education policy was introduced. There, the focus in primary education was just to introduce literacy and numeracy. And based on that, teachers' education was, because at that time, teachers, or maybe we didn't have much of education in our country, teachers were hardly available. So the basic focus was, even the teacher who was passed out in grade 8th, maybe grade 10th was a great welcome move at that time. Very few teachers at that time were passed out from grade 8th, and they could also become teachers. Now let's come back to 1986 education policy. At this time, there was a operation of Blackboard. So there was a minimum requirement for school education. That is 2 classrooms, at least 2 teachers, and some teaching aids. And out of these 2 teachers, 1 should be at least female. And this is how the education had to be conducted in the primary, so that numeracy and literacy would be taught. And there was also oral development, which was focused at this time. But this was a minimum requirement. So then this policy was again revised under the, I think, by Professor Acharya Maruti, Ram Maruti. So then it was again implemented in 1992. So after almost 28 years, there was almost 360-degree change, maybe changes beyond recognition. We will not know, maybe when we had this education policy in 1986 and 1982, which was revised, technology was just being introduced. Now, technology is part of our life. Then technology was privilege. Now, today, technology is not privilege. It is part of your in and out. It is required. It is not a privilege. It is part of your life. So in this education policy now, the focus of technology also plays very important role. Does not mean that technology is required for everything in school education in primary. The focus here is on development of teachers first. The moment teachers development is done, it is very easy to focus on children. That's why government of, I think this new education policy also has laid a special stress on curriculum framework for teachers, which would be again a welcome move for everyone. So teachers education also would be finding a new change, almost 360-degree changes. So once we find a change there, definitely there would be change in the classroom, because teachers' vision, teachers' ideology, teachers' philosophy of looking at education must change. Earlier, it was examination and personality development to a certain extent. But today, in the world of technology, maybe the world in which we are living, where it is a small village. Earlier, it was not a village. We used to consider every country one. Maybe we would hardly interact with other countries. Maybe hardly people would go to other places. But today, people interact with a click of button with the people of different countries, different races, different places. Even people, those who are beyond this somewhere in moon, even they are able to interact. Today, this is how the communication is. So communication is very, very important for teachers and students at this stage. Now here, as Dr. Mishra said, there is a lot of stress given for pre-primary education. Same way, primary education, there is a lot of focus on 21st century skills. That does not mean this 21st century skills are introduced just now. They have been existing for so many years. Like for example, communication, one of those skills. So we have been communicating for a long time. So now communication has taken a new phase. There is a change in communication. Earlier, mummy used to say, maybe lunch is ready. Say, yes, lunch is ready. Everyone come and take the dinner. Now, mummy has to send a message in, I think, group. Then only people will move, because this is how the world is. And if you say lunch is ready or dinner is ready, people will not move. So communication has changed now. So that way, now we have again factors in communication. So what are those factors affecting the communication? And earlier, the families used to be big, and there used to be a lot of interaction with the children. But today, talking to each other, now children have become more inward now. So now this national education policy focuses on child's mental development, emotional development. It's very important. Now this is also done from teachers' point of view, that is from teachers' curriculum framework being developed there. And again, the new NCF based on this education policy, which is going to come now, maybe by next year, is going to give a vision for the new curriculum in school, especially in primary schools. We are not just going to look at numeracy and literacy, how this numeracy and literacy can be seen in a proficient way. Now here, the focus would be on development of children from inward, how to bring out the inherent qualities. Every child has got strong qualities inside. Now, how to bring out those qualities? That is where we have got critical thinking, problem solving. Let's take an example of this situation, of pandemic situation. Till 19th March, no one knew how to use video conferencing. No, I can't say no one. Many didn't know how to use video conferencing, at least for teaching. But today, it has become universal factor. All are using. Somewhere around 18th to 30th of March, everyone was struggling how to teach and how to handle and how to conduct education. Teachers had to struggle, and there was tough time for primary teachers because they were small. Primary children are too small to understand this interaction. They reached out, and now even this education policy, which is stressing on technology. Now, those days when it was, I think somewhere. I think this was out somewhere last year, I think 31st of May 2019, when I think Dr. Kasturi Rangan presented to the Prime Minister of the Cabinet. So then everyone criticized many of the things in this policy. But today, everyone is appreciating the good in this policy. Various factors for responsibilities for this primary education in NAP 2020. I think one of the most important thing is the 21st century skills, which are seen from child's point of view. Earlier, they used to remain as privileged bracket point, like communication. It is to come only in certain inverted commas. Now it is being understood. Now, for example, if you ask a child, go to a shop, now there he will understand what is plus and minus. He would go to a teacher, and teacher would ask him to get some books from the staff room. Now he would learn what is plus and minus from that. Now these teaching aids are not only being used in the classroom, and this is also being used practically through helping the teachers, helping the parents at home. That is called life skills. So there is a lot of stress on life skills too. That is where I congratulate Dr. Kasturi Rangan, stressing so much on pre-primary and primary education, and above all, that is teachers' curriculum framework. So this is the greatest stress when you see from teacher's point of view and child's point of view, how to develop this education in this new millennium.
That was quite an elaborate explanation on the impact on the teachers, sir. I think in my later half of the discussion, I'll come back to you on the strategies which need to be adopted to bring about this development. I think there's already a question from one of our audiences also as to what are the strategies to develop this learning process. But I'll come back to those questions in a while. Before that, I'd like to bring in Ms. Nikita Kothari for her to share her views on the impact of the technology and the impact of this NEP policy which is going to come in, and how do you see this impacting the students or the children specifically, who are ultimately the most important stakeholder in this entire education system? Over to you, Ms. Nikita Kothari.
Namaste, Sudhir, and welcome to all the panelists. Yes, our eminent speakers here. So, starting with education is a powerful tool which can change the world. Definitely very well said. And one more quote I would like to quote. This is, if you are planning for a year, sow rice. If you're planning for a decade, plant trees. If you're planning for the lifetime, educate people. Here we are after 34 years coming out with NEP, National Education Policy, which I'm sure will bring a revolutionary change, because as Nicholas sir rightly said, earlier the system was different. 8th standard or 9th standard teacher could become a teacher, but now ECCED is compulsory. So the teacher has to be rightly educated, correct? And now ECCED would be compulsory. Early child care education for a teacher is mandatory. Earlier it was teacher centric education, but now it is child centric education. Also, I would like to bring out a very important point. We have sense organs. We have 5 sense organs. Now, like many after this COVID, we are using lot of IT and net and online classes. But then here we are using PPTs and voice modulation. That is most important. The child, when he's sitting in front of the laptop for longer time, how can the child be having holistic development now? So complete revamp of preschool curriculum will have to be made after the national curricular and pedagogical framework for earlier childhood care education. It is mandated by NEP 2020 in development by NCERT based on vision of the policy and national and international best practices. That means holistic development, 360 around. Like, when sir spoke about Anganwadi, we basically feel that fine motor skills, gross motor skills, numerical, alphabetical, object recognition, language development, communication. Whenever we spoke about all these things are very much important when the child is hardly 3 years, 4 years. Now they've combined the preschool plus 1 and 2 together. That means 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Earlier, which was 10 plus 2. And moreover, secondly, a distinct cadre of professionally qualified ECCED educators will need to be trained for the delivery of preschool. They have to be properly trained. Creation of these cadres will be entrusted to the state governments and based on specialized professional training, mentoring, and continuous development. Moreover, state level regulatory regime will be needed to be restructured with the new and lesser functioning of the Department of School Education. Very, very important is the round off of all these changes. The policy mandates universal access to high quality ECCED educators. Its solution is to devote special priority to various sectors, various domains of child development. On one hand, this holds a new opportunities Definitely when we see at the rural area front and where the age group is hardly 3 years to 6 years, that will be a mandate. In the nutshell, at every minimum, a preschool is looking at extensive changes of K-12 education until many changes on the aspects are discussed above or inside, and we will be discussing more. Having said that, it's cognizant of all these potential changes will be advisable. First step towards be prepared for the uh, distribution of many important aspects. And with that, I will just end on a note, on my note, that uh, to live is live as if you die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. So, so there, that is the tagline, that we don't have to just go on rote learning, but here we are educating a child for the lifetime, making a good citizen out of him. Thank you so much. Over to you.
That's so very true, ma'am. Thank you so much for those thoughts. And I'm definitely in sync with your ideas that we are educating a child for a lifetime. And I believe such policy changes, which were probably wanted from a very long time, would be helpful to us going forward to shape and give that right direction to the child as he grows up within the system. I think with this, I'll come back to Mr. Mishra. Dr. Mishra, I think we've discussed about the three stakeholders. We've talked about how it's going to impact the schools, how it's going to impact the teachers, how will it impact the children. But I think what is very important is the implementation of this process. And there is a question which is already asked by one of our panelists or one of our attendees here as to what are the strategies which are required to develop the learning processes going forward with this new policy, specifically when we are breaking this into a ECC and integrated primary education and then class 3, 4, and 5. I think in all the discussions, what gets neglected is what is going to happen to these children in class 3, 4, and 5. Is this going to be a different learning methodology? Is it going to be a different curriculum? Is it going to have a different flow or structure for these children? How does that primary education, which is now being broken into two parts of, the elementary and the foundation, going to change the learning process and the outcomes and the objectives that we're going to achieve out of this?
Very good question. As Sudhirji, as Nectar sir also explained regarding the communication. Communication is already there. Now the pattern of the communication has been changed. How it is to be implemented? It all depends upon the practice. It all depends upon the thought process of the parents. It depends upon the state government. It depends upon the teacher ability. It depends upon the teacher's training. It depends upon the thought process we are taking care of this thing. As CCE was also the good pattern, but it was not taken by the stakeholders in that split. That's why that was the reason where we are not able to do something. First of all, I want to add one thing here, that is the 21st century skill. Why this change is required? Is some formula is going to be changed? Sorry, there is no change. H2 plus O become the water. There is no change in H2 plus O. There is no change in the alphabet. There is no change in the, you can say, Kakaga. But Sudhirji, do you know, our 90% or 98%, I cannot say the thing, the Hindi alphabet is not known by the peoples. They had learned, they study as a third language also, as a second subject also. But they do not know the alphabets of the Hindi. They do not know where, because they are done the rote learning. We require some experiential learning, is one of the important part. The thing is that 21st century skills are required to fulfill the change in the job market. Now, what you had taught, what knowledge acquisition you had done, that is not required. How you are going to use that knowledge, that is much more important. And that basically we are supposed to do here. And for that, we are supposed to create the 21st century skill, and that 21st century skills is divided, I can say that is divided basically into three parts. First is the learning skill, literacy skills, and the life skills. When I say literacy, learning skills, that is the 4C, where the new education policy totally focus on that. That is critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. This 4C is very much important for the learning skills. So critical thinking and creativity can be created, or the collaboration and the communication can be started at the early childhood care education. Because critical thinking can be, you cannot change the mindset of the, you can say, senior student. You know very well at your school age, When you are in grade third or grade four or grade second, you respect all the words of your teacher. When you come in grade 6 to 7, something you left. When you come in 9th or 10th class, 11th and 12th class, all the girls are decorating the classroom, but boys are not involved in that. Because the third part of that thought of the communication, creativity, that skill has been gone. That is not going to give you the marks. That's why you are not willing to do such activities. So creativity, critical thinking is one of the important part. Why I'm not doing Swachh Bharat Abhiyan cannot be successful if the thought process cannot build in the, you can say, the blood of the small kids. So critical thinking and creativity is one of the important part at the smallest stage we are supposed to create. One is a collaboration, peer activity. Now everybody is competing to each other. Collaboration, why examination is required? I said there should no examination till grade 12, till graduation also, no examination is required. Examination basically is giving the certification that you learn, but actually we are not learn something. Teaching is not the part. Basically, we are facilitator, not the teacher. We are only the facilitator. When we thought this thing, automatically it will be done. So communication is also an important part. How the new job markets require the communication. What type of thoughts process we are. You are supposed to, how do you write down the emails and all these things, communication, thought process, how you are fast tracking all this. So this learning skill is one of the important part. Second is a literacy skill. Literacy skill is IMT basically. IMT is one of the important part where you also learn when you are also doing in your schools. That is information media technology. How you are going to use your information. How the information is important to you. What the new information is coming and how you are saying that about that things to your children, to the students. About the global warming, how you are, you can say, doing the practice in your school and outside. So information of data collection and ethics of the data is one of the important part. Media. Media is also the second part where we are supposed to use. And third is your voice is, yeah. Third is the technology.
Mishra sir, I'm sorry, I'm barging in your discourse. What I'm trying to bring you back on is, I think this information media and technology is more relevant when we talk about kids who are at a higher level. How do you see
No. Sorry, Sudhirji. Sorry, Sudhirji. Focus is one of the important. Child always focus first. You are always shy. Yeah. Child try to explain. You imagine in the smaller kids at the age before the 90s, all the parents, when somebody comes at your residence, they call their children, say, okay, you sing the poem. Now, how many parents are doing all these things? How many parents are? That time the media was not there. Now the media is creating the focus of the stage to the platform to the small kids. They can become the popular. I'm watching one of the media. Basically, media doesn't mean focus. Showcasing is one of the important part. You can become the popular only through the media. Through the WhatsApp, you float one message, important message, you will definitely do. And how the technology. We are not able to put something, we are take some times to learn the technology. But the small kids know what is the switch button is there. Even the 3 years age child know which buttons works for. So that technology, they have the sharp mind. Why we are not using that technology? That information media technology can be built something more in playway method. So that IMT is the literacy skill in that small kids we are supposed to build.
Which is
so last part, you can say the life skills where we are supposed to see regarding the observational assessment, interviews, analysis, basically. That is the flips, you can say. Flips, I want to say here, F for the flexibility. Child is flexible to understand and adopt the things, basically. L is the leadership skills. Every child in the small, you can say, want to show that I am the leader, I am the leader, I am the monitor. But Sudhirji, at 11th and 12th class, you do not want to become the monitor. But at the age of 2 and 3, definitely you want to become the monitor. Nicholas sir, I'm saying right thing, I think.
Correct, Mishra sir, you are absolutely right.
It's gone at that stage. So leadership is to be built at the smaller kids, basically. That is the age where we are supposed to know. Always you become the leader. So earlier leaders, basically, just tell us the person who is doing leadership, basically, you become the neta, you are asking so many questions. That's why you want to become the leader. Leader was the abused word right now at the British time in the classroom. But now the leadership skill basically is something different. One is the initiative. every child in the small kids are taking the initiative part. Initiative is one of the important part. The smaller kids, when we put some initiative parts in the ECC curriculum, automatically they will work for the longer period of time. Initiative part is something missing in our, you can say grade 1, 2, 3, 4. So initiative part is also one of the important part. P is the productivity. How much productivity the child is creating, so much they have so much thoughts, so much poems, so much new things. So that productivity skills also to be created. S is social skill. These small kids are always fight for seconds and they becomes a abba and a buddy and something like this. They become the friends within a seconds. They fight for a seconds and they become the friends also. But at the longer stage, we have the fight for the longer period of time. So that social skills we are also supposed to create. So these three skills, basically learning skill, literacy skill, life skills, can be created through the playway method. And this all 21st century skills should be implemented in early childhood care education. As I said, the NCERT is creating through National Curriculum Framework for the primary education. Basically, they are inbuilding all these type of skills in that, and that is one of the important part. Over to Sudhirji.
I'm sure. I'm sure. That's really helpful, sir. I think I'd like to bring the discussion back to Mr. Nicholas. Nicholas, sir, there is a question which is posed to me, but I think you are better equipped to answer this question. So there is Mr. Munish Rao who's asked you, do you see the role of co-curricular activities to be improved and also the, filling the gap between the academics and the non-academics and bringing about a balance with the new NEP coming into the system?
Yes, a very good question which is given. I think Dr. Mishra also has thrown light on this. Now, if you see new education policy, there isn't I think there is a new definition of co-curricular activities. When you say math, science, English, or languages, and when you call physical education, drawing, music, they got the same place. There is no hardcore separation from core subjects which we used to call languages, mathematics, or social science. This is more or less, it will be in the middle school and secondary school. But in the primary classes, when these co-curricular activities which are being introduced for the child's development of personality, basically it is done for holistic development. And it should not be seen as a separate subject or additional subject. It should be a core subject. If you see in CBSE, now in the new education policy, it is for everyone. Physical education is a core subject now. And shortly you will find, just as mathematics, even physical education also would be one of the subjects where you will be studying theory, practical, and there is also will be outcome which would be assessed. In the new education policy, if you see, there are 3 checkpoints. One is grade 3, grade 5, and grade 8. And here, learning outcome would be assessed. There would be small examination or test or assessment, whatever it may be. Here, not only your literacy and numeracy, here even other co-curricular activities, other events, which are there for the personality development of the children, like 21st century skills. What is the outcome of this? How we have taught these skills to our children. Maybe we are teaching children music. But what is that music? Is it we are just teaching them singing or certain notation? Are they learning certain art from music? But what is that music? Now, board is asking us, like if you see every board today, there is art integration. And this NEP is speaking about art integration in our learning. When there is art integration, we not only learn small little basic art, we learn so many things. We learn the culture, we learn the lifestyle, we learn even ancient art. You go to any temple, any ancient temple, any old temple, maybe especially if you go to South Indian temples, they are all geometrically built. So you find everything is parallel. You find there is, you see what is a geometrical, and if you see those stones which were taken up to a certain height, how did they take when there was no technology or when there were no equipments those days? We don't know how they are taken. But today's science cannot even imagine how they have done this, because there are certain mathematical calculations. Go back to Aryabhat. So today we have got technology, even in BC. he had visualized, he has seen Earth is taking around 362 days approximately. As of today, it is 365 days. He didn't have any of this today's modern equipments to see and visualize. But through his meditation, through his spa, now these co-curricular activities are leading us how to bring out our inherent qualities, how to develop our mind and how to develop our body. The balance between mind and the body. This is what is going to create through these co-curricular activities. And this co-curricular, such a very important skill, cannot be kept as co-curricular. It should be the mainstream quality and mainstream subject. That is where the new education policy does away with this is separate. It is saying there is no separation from co-curricular activities to other core subjects.
I'm sure, sir. I think that quite elaborately explains as to how the new policy brings about that balance between those co-curricular activities and the mainstream subject things. And I'm sure the integration of the co-curricular activities within the mainstream strains and the holistic approach to the education will bring about far more positive results as compared to when we were treating these topics into silos and stuff like that. I think with this, I'll bring the focus back to Ms. Nikita Kothari. Ma'am, my question as we nearing the end of the session today is to the another dimension of the new education policy, which is going to bring in the native language teaching. Teaching in the regional language is something which is proposed in the policy. It's become a little controversial in a couple of states because of the diversity that we have across the country. How do you see this particular aspect of the policy change impacting the students? And more importantly, so I'd like you to be very precise in your answer and very specific to these two things. This language change, how does it impact the students in their learning process? Number one. And number two, how does it impact us as a whole society? Because, today English language, though is considered to be a foreign language, but that has become a language which is universally accepted as a common language of, communication. And that is something which is probably the corporate language, so to speak, worldwide. So if we were to bring in, this regional language angle into our teaching learning process right from the early stages, how do you think it's going to impact the overall professional life of a child who's going out of a school?
Sudhirji, a very, very good question and a very important question. Why? Because if you see, there are a lot of dropouts, 80% dropouts after 10th standard, because the students are unable to understand in English. They become very conscious. They are not confident in speaking because we have more. If you talk about Maharashtra, see, Maharashtra, it is rural areas. They speak Marathi. They do not understand English. Of course, Kerala, South, they are 100% literacy level is totally there. They don't have any problem. But if you talk about North, they lack confidence in speaking. So, if this regional language angle is put up into anything, it's a very good concept that the students will be retained. They will be retaining, and if you're talking about English as being universal language, no, sir, I don't think so. I've traveled across 28 countries, and if you go to Japan, they speak Japanese. If you go to China, they speak Mandarin. If you go to Paris, no one will encourage you or entertain you if you're speaking in English. So they speak French out there. So I understand that regional language, we should give it a chance to retain our students rate and understand the skills. Definitely they have a lot of career options available. This is going to be a big chapter, and I feel a big task, and to open up our teachers also. Many times teachers, they are not confident of speaking in English. They feel reluctant. So regional language also is very important. We are unity in diversity. So the Britishers, they came, ruled for 200 years. 200 years, they have changed our backbone. They have, in fact, hampered our culture. I feel it is a time we should bring back our culture back. And this regional language, I support it. I know there is a lot of controversy, Sudhirji. If you want, again, when you're talking, I will definitely, you told me to be very elaborate. So I will not, because it's a big discussion which I can carry on and on and on. Definitely.
I'm sure it's quite controversial, and we have hours of content on this particular topic to be debated. I guess I'd like
Can
to.
I add a small point on this?
Yes, yes. Dr.
Uh,
Nicholas, I have a very specific question to you, and you can definitely add up your point. I'm just picking up from what Ms. Nikita Kothari added here, that, and I've heard of this particular thing in a lot of other webinars that I attended over the last couple of months. So, this argument of Japanese people speaking Japanese and Chinese people speaking Mandarin and French people speaking French is something which is given in support of we bringing in this regional language culture. But my question, as maybe I'm probably the youngest on the panel today of the three of you, and I can connect to the next generation and maybe the old one as well. So I'm asking this question, that we are a country where I think we've got hundreds of languages spoken across the country in every state. That doesn't happen in Japan, that doesn't happen in China, that doesn't happen in France. So within the country they have a common language, so they can afford to have one language. But we are a set of people. It's good to have that utopian idea of a university in diversity, but just imagine a child who's studying in Kannada, throughout his education in the school, and he's then moved to a Noida to work in his career. How does he manage? Or a child, he's going to study in Noida and then he's moved to a Cochin or something like that. How does he manage? So I think Mr. Nicholas would probably want to throw some light on this aspect of it, that we as India probably need one language. I don't know, I'm not advocating English as that language. It could be any language, but language, because of its inherent nature, is something that it has to become a convenient, medium of communication for all of us. And unless it is a common medium of communication, it really cannot serve the purpose. Over to you, Mr. Nicholas. What would be
Yes,
really
great
interesting?
question. I agree with what Nikita madam said. I think this culture which was given by the British has done away with our original culture. In the meantime, we need to understand the complexity of our country. As you said, rightly said, Japan, they have got one language. So ours is a complex country. We have got multiple languages, multiple regions, and our country does not have one similarity and one similar culture. Even in culture, we have got varieties of culture. You go to Northeast, you have got one type of people. You come to South, you find another type of people. You go to North. So we have got around 2 or 3 races even within our country, and multiple languages. You come to Maharashtra, in mainstream, we speak Marathi. You go to interior, they have got the dialect. So now when it comes to again regional languages, now in Maharashtra, let's take example of Maharashtra. So they will have Marathi. Now what about those people, those who speak dialects of Marathi? They will have this problem. Yes, despite all problems, despite all, yes, they would be able to understand Marathi. That language would be the main lingua franca for all. But when it comes to the country, now we have got centrally governed schools like CBSE schools, like KVs, private CBSE schools, or JNUs. These are all central schools. Whether they would be able to follow regional language. Today, parents are in Maharashtra. Tomorrow, they will be in Gujarat. Day after tomorrow, maybe after a year, they will be in Tamil Nadu. So that's why we have got these central board schools. So there, maybe we need to have one language. It cannot be only regional, maybe Hindi or English. There should be one lingua franca through which education is imparted. The national education policy does not say do away with English. It doesn't say that what you call impose Hindi. Doesn't say that. It is promoting regional languages, keeping in mind development of the children. Children can understand in their mother tongue. And if they understand in their mother tongue, the reasoning would be better, critical thinking would be better. They can solve so many problems. The 21st century skills, one of the skills is problem solving. They understand the instructions clearly. They can define what is that problem. They can read that problem clearly and they can solve that. Now, when we understand, read a problem in a language which is not fully understood, maybe a section of class understand, maybe out of 40, around 10 children don't understand. Even 10 children is a big number. So many children don't understand, then it's a loss to those children. We are not imparting that education to so many people. It's a loss. Now, what we are saying now, new education policy, use mother tongue for imparting better education. We go to rural India. Rural India, they will not be able to understand English, definitely. But even today, they want to have English medium schools. Parents do not understand English. Now we don't get well qualified teachers who can teach in English medium. But despite all the shortcomings, they have got English medium schools. And many of them are unable to converse in English, but still English medium schools are there. But what is the outcome of those schools? Are we producing effective, constructive citizens there? What is the outcome of this learning? Maybe they have to memorize there. Again, we'll be going back to this memorization. So this NEP, when it looks at this, not doing away with English or not imposing out Hindi education, but it is from child's point of view, how to make education simple and very friendly, and which they can understand in their own tongue. But definitely they are not said that they are doing away with English education, English medium schools, or not imposing Hindi medium, definitely. So those schools are going to be there, because we need to understand the environment of our country. It is the multiple languages. So for example, I think Nikita madam, you said you have gone through across the country. Maybe your husband is here today, tomorrow you may be somewhere else. So definitely your child has to
travel along with me. Yeah, true.
So if he goes to Gujarat, he'll not be able to learn Gujarati from, I think now, maybe if he's in grade 1 or 2, he'll be able to learn. But if he's in 9th and 10th, will he be able to give that examination in Gujarati? Not possible.
That's true. So there are definitely challenges.
Let's try to understand what is the spirit of mother tongue here.
Exactly.
Sudhir ji, very well said, Nicholas ji and Nikita ji, madam. Actually, there is one webinar where Secretary Education and ex-CBSE chairperson, and you can see the creator and the part of the member, Anita Karwal madam, has very much clearly said that this regional language will be treated as a medium of instruction only. It should not be treated as a subject, number one. It means when you are in Maharashtra, your subject will not change. But if you are taking as a Marathi, where the child is unable, your maximum number of students are from Maharashtra side, so they are able to understand. Because the small kids, you imagine the small kids are understanding what? In residence, in their home, they are learning Marathi, how to speak. In school, they are learning English, Hindi. Imagine the three languages they had started at the early stage, then they are very much difficult to learning process basically. So till grade 5, the medium of instruction will be the language, not as a subject. Subject they can choose, that is a different part, as a third language. But it is not a part of the media. It should be always treated as a medium of instruction. That is very much clear. One thing. Second thing regarding you had asked the co-scholastic activity. The thought process of separating the co-scholastic activity from the scholastic activity is totally wrong. That's why CBSE is always saying to integrate the things, integrate the part, integrate art education should be integrated in the subject basically. It should not be taught. When we say the vocational subject, it means subject means child is not so much securing good marks, so give some vocational subject so that he can secure. So that was the earlier time. Before basically you can see the previous method of education where we can say 2010 batch having CCE pattern, they will get this one. 2021 batch, Corona batch, they had got the marks. 2020 batch, they had not attempted so many paper. That type of thought process is to be removed. That is the thought process. Basically, we have put it in our mind that system is going on. It means they got the secured good marks in that way. Because the examination system is, our assessment system is totally not in that way. That is the main problem. New education policy clearly focus on the learning steps, learning process, learning development in the child. First of all, we are supposed to see the meaning of education. We are supposed to understand as being a parent, as a teacher, as a schooler, as a citizen of India, or as a citizen of the world also, you can say, what is the meaning of education? Education is the total focused learning, not teaching. Focused learning, when we remove the L, what is left? Earning. So what the child is earning from that your education, that is the important part. Right now, we are giving a certificate, they are or BTech, but not getting a job. They know very well English, but they are not able to write a single letter. They are having all degree, diploma, certificate, degrees and doctorates, but they are not able to, you can say, research work and anything. So that research-based education is one of the important part where we are supposed to make hand-on an activity experiential learning. That is the most important part in new education policy, basically focused.
Sir, I still have a question on this entire, language debate. I think I seem to have opened a Pandora's box,
No problem.
given the
True, true.
number of
Even I want to.
Yeah,
given the
please.
number of questions, comments, and things that I'm getting from the audience. I think this is a very critical aspect of it, and therefore I'm, at the risk of extending the session by another 10 minutes, maybe I'm asking this question here for the audience sake and for my personal understanding, which is disturbed me a lot. You said, it has to be a medium of communication or medium of instruction. I agree. Yes, that's exactly what the policy says, that it needs to be a medium of instruction. But the point here is, sir, we've had multiple researchers establishing it very well that a child in his early first 8 years of development is the more is most in the most active learning phase, and probably that's the time. And in fact, there is an audience member who's also commented that probably this is the time where a child would be able to become a multilingual or acquiring skills, etc., etc. And I'm also commenting on your point that he's learning one language at home and another language at school. Possibly, I think that is precisely the reason we had English medium schools. I mean, if we were to teach in the same language that they're learning at home, I think the whole reason or the whole objective of learning a language is beaten. Why do I need to learn a language in the first place? Language is something which you pick up from your environment. Language is something which you pick up from where you're living, your peers. So that's exactly what is the purpose.
Sudhirji, being a young, you can say, as you said, you are the young entrepreneur, you are a young school creator, you are very much connected. Being experienced, my father worked in defense, and I studied my whole studies in Kendriya Vidyalaya in different, you can say, states, basically all over India I studied. What actually I want to say, if you do not have the regional language, the culture will be missed, because you cannot taught the culture. Your connectivity with your culture will be different. Britishers done something. Britishers says what? If you want to win the India, kill the education system
Kill
of
the
India.
culture. Yeah, true. Very true. I agree. I totally agree.
We are always based. So culture will be totally depend upon your regional language. Do you know 16 types of study done by Krishna ji in Indore? Indore, there is one ashram is there where Bhagwan Krishna ji has studied, and they had learned all the skills what we are studying right now. And they all are in all the language. Mother language is what? You see, what is our mother language? Not Sanskrit, Tamil. Tamil is the mother language of all the languages. Do you know this thing? So Tamil, can we take that Tamil as a regional language? Then again, it will be controversy. So Tamil, from Tamil language, all the language has been created. Sanskrit is the second one. Hindi is the next one. English was so much later. So I'm saying that should be as English medium school, by saying in English or writing something and unable to understand something, for creating understanding all these things, first of all, we are supposed to understand, just Nicholas sir said, able to solve problem. If I say Angadai leta hu, you now give the word in Angadai in English. Tell me how you will say. I'm taking the Angadai. You take yawning. Yawning is something different. You cannot express all the words of Hindi into English. So that is the important part. So if the mother is saying something in his regional language, you imagine I was in Italy, and one of my friend has some problem and he hospitalized in the hospital. The senior medical officer is unable to speak a single word of English. There is only a single nurse out of 12 staff. She is able to understand and speak in English only. 11 staff. So imagine, I'm unable to explain ki what is, और हुआ क्या problem तो उसकी नाभि हट गई थी, that he jumped from so long, उसकी नाभि हट गई. I am saying something, they are no, some jaundice, something is there.
I agree, Mishra ji. मैं भी Paris में थी.
I'm able to tell him ki what happened, what word I will say here. So that is the problem. Basically, some problem is there where we are supposed to express. देखिए, when you are in Punjab, automatically you will learn in English and Hindi, but you will listen and understand. You understand Punjabi also, you understand Marathi also, you understand Gujarati also, little bit when you are something listening automatically. Narasimha Rao ji understand 26 language. He becomes a, you can say, able to, you can say anything. So that is the important part. Language should not be the barrier of education. That is the important one part. Understanding level should be created at the earliest stage. Language should not become the barrier. So that is the point we have taken here.
True.
Can I add icing up?
I'd like
Okay.
you to add some closing remarks, ma'am, because I think we are overshooting.
We are
the
over the time.
and,
Yeah.
Some of the audience members have already commented that this is a topic which can probably consume a whole day and still not come to a conclusion. So I do agree on that. Maybe some closing remarks on this language issue, and then I'll ask Anushka to wrap up the session.
Yeah, I will say where there is a will, there is a way. We better come back. Basics are something which we should be rooted to. A wonderful topic. Thank you so much, Sudhir. Thank you so much, Anushka. Thank you so much, Rajiv, and all my dear panelists. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thanks a lot for your comments,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Nicholas, sir,
So
any
much.
closing remarks from your end?
This NAP 2020, we need to understand not only from cultural point of view, we need to understand even spiritual point of view, and also overall global. It is bringing together entire universe from local to global. So how we can do this? Understanding our local language, understanding local culture, integrating art, spiritually growing our mind, growing our body, and being how to adjust and adapt with the neighbor. This is what NAP, I think, putting into some small, I think if I summarize, body, mind, and spirit put together. The child has to learn in the classroom. So I thank you for giving this opportunity to interact with such a illustrious panel, and also good audience, and also I think good anchor. I think it's a wonderful questions you are throwing, and really I enjoyed. I also look forward for such wonderful interaction in the future. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Over to you, Anushka. Anushka, your mic is off.
I'm so sorry. Okay, I was saying thank you so much, everyone. It was a very informative and knowledgeable session. You have shared your knowledge, and it was so great. It was definitely a very informative and a very good discussion with everyone. Thank you so much, Nikita ma'am. Thank you so much, Nicholas sir, and thank you so much, Mishra sir, and Sudhi sir and Rajiv sir too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks to the audience.
Thank
I
you.
hope we've been able
Thank
to
you
add
to all.
some value to
Thank
this.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Topic
so
to
much.
be more
Do
spoken.
have a great evening. Thanks a lot.